left this week hailing New York Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo for passing a historic bill legalizing abortion up until birth.
That's right. We were telling you that earlier, and now Vermont is following their lead by introducing a similar bill that would make late-term abortions a constitutional right.
Here to react, as mentioned, actor and executive producer of Gosnell, the untold story of America's most prolific serial killer, Dean Cain. Good morning, Dean.
Good morning. You're looking good, by the way, in 2019.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, we've come a long way, because when I first started covering politics, Daniel Patrick Moynihan was, the senior senator from this great state of New York, and he at one point was talking about late-term abortion and said partial birth abortion is close, he believed, to infanticide. And yet now this very state where he lived and served for so long has now basically said it's all good.
Yeah, you know what? With that law here in New York and the one they're proposing, or the one I guess just passed in Vermont, did it pass or is it being proposed?
Being proposed in Vermont, I believe.
Well, that would make the crimes of Kermit Gosnell legal, and the things that he did. And
Who was he?
Kermit Gosnell was an abortion clinic doctor in Philadelphia who was performing late-term abortions. And in Pennsylvania, the law is at 24 weeks, which is 5.5 months, which is at about 80% viability of a fetus. After that point in time, unless it's extreme circumstances, you weren't able to perform an abortion. And he was doing this well beyond that a lot. He was found guilty for 3 murders, but they could have done it for hundreds. Yeah. And he would actually induce birth, where they would have birth to a live child, and then he would use a pair of surgical scissors to snip their spinal cord. But that would be legal in New York, right, for the New York law and what's being proposed in Vermont.
I think you said that was up to 5.5 months in Pennsylvania. Here in New York, it's up to birth. It's up to 9 months. If you change your mind the day before the baby's going to be born, you can have an abortion?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, and they call it the health of the mother. So it's a really fungible thing to say, whether it's the emotional health or whatever it might be. So it's a really
health emergency. It could be.
Listen, and the point is, if the fetus is not viable, that makes I understand that makes sense. Right. But if it's a viable child, I just encourage people to go watch the film, Gosnell, and then make a decision. I'm not telling anybody what to believe. We don't do that in the film, but we tell the story of Kermit Gosnell. And if you're not affected by that, I don't know.
Pre-sales are now doing really well on Amazon, a bestseller, right?
Yeah, it's the #1 drama pre-sales on Amazon, and it's out in video on demand right now, and it's doing really, really well.
All right, let's watch a little clip of it and then talk about it.
The prosecution has offered you a plea bargain, Dr. Gosnell.
But I would have to admit I was guilty. I'm not guilty.
When you get to the courthouse, you are going to be swarmed by reporters. You ready for this, counsel?
Where is everybody?
Okay. Dean, after doing all your research, executive producer, and learning more about his life, how did he justify doing what he did? And what's the worst thing you learned when you were covering the story?
Well, for me, the worst thing I learned was what actually takes place during a late-term abortion.
You didn't know, did you?
I did not have any idea, and I thought I was a pretty knowledgeable guy. And it's gruesome, and it's the kind of thing you'll learn if you watch the film. You won't see it. We don't show everything, but you understand what took place. And there's a huge emotional impact on the mothers, and you see that in the film. That's the thing that I saw the most, that actually shocked me the most. What was the other question? I missed the first.
The most shocking thing, and then how did he justify it?
He justified it by not seeing these. This is a man who had his own kids. But he justified it as not seeing these children as children.
Well, he's in prison right now. So that film is available on Amazon and elsewhere on demand. And a new one comes out today. It is The Challenger Disaster, which we all remember. Dean plays an attorney for the O-ring company that ultimately led to the disaster. Here's a snippet.
Do you want the space program to continue? Yes or no?
That's not the question.
Yes or no? That is the question. That is the only question. Mistakes have been made, and if they continue to be made, you are never flying again, ever. That decision is made for you.
You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
But NASA decided to go ahead and fly it anyway with really cold conditions, and that's what impacted the O-rings.
Yeah, and then those guys wanted to talk about it and speak before the Presidential Commission, and my attorney character there was telling them not to in order to save the space program, and they originally it was called 12 Angry Men because these guys were angry because they saw this as a potential problem. And obviously, it was 1986 when that happened. It's about 33 years ago, almost exactly to the day.
January 28th, my mom's birthday.
Look at that.
Where were you? We all remember where we were.
I was in school.
I was in college.
Too, third grade. College.
You were in third grade. That's nice.
I didn't know you were going to say college.
Yeah, that just puts it all.
Freshman or
You're
senior?
not old. You're not old.
86. I was like a junior.
Oh, all right.
That's maybe a sophomore.
Well, good luck with the new DVD.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to be watching you this weekend on Fox and Friends.
I'll be here tomorrow morning, sitting in all day. I was going to wear a blue suit today, but for obvious reasons, I chose not to.
All right.
Thanks, Dean.
Thank you all for
We'll be
having
watching
me.
this weekend.